We can start the podcast now. So go ahead and tell them where you're from and your name.
So my name's Christian, and I'm based in, well, if you want to know my last name, Georgepoulos, I'm Greek. So yeah, you'll find, man, a lot of Australians have like a heritage. So it'd be European, Scottish, or English. Like, you know, it's probably a little bit different to America, obviously, but a lot of us have like, you'll be like, oh, he's got a Greek last name, but he's Australian. It's just a lot of that European heritage that came across. So when my family came across 4 generations ago, we based ourselves in a country town called Shepparton, which is 2 hours north of Melbourne. So if a lot of Americans probably know the major city in the state of Victoria called Melbourne, we're 2 hours north of that. And Shepparton's like a little country town, man. Yeah, it's not little anymore. It's getting bigger, man. But I grew up on a farm in an orchard, so fishing for me was, you know, I've got photos from when I was, 5, 6, even 4 fishing. So, with bait and stuff, which was awesome.
So usually everyone's you kind of broke into your whole how you fish. Now, what's cool to me is the whole. Give me a breakdown on the whole Murray cod. I don't know anything fucking about them, so let me know how are they like a striper? Are they like a largemouth, or what the fuck are they?
People see these images, man. Like I talked to a lot of guys in America, like Swimbait Universe, Wayne Campbell that runs that page. Unbelievable page, really good page, man. To move baits and stuff. So you talk to a lot of guys there, man. You do a trade, and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool. What's Australia like?" And then you send them a photo of a Murray cod, and they're like, "What the fuck?" Like this thing is just huge. Like you'll show them like 1.10 or 1.20 or a meter fish, and what you guys call a double digit, we'll call a triple digit. Okay. So a meter plus. So 101, 100 centimeters, 120, so forth. So yeah, these fish, man, to compare them, it's like I've never caught a striper, but from like talking to dudes that like yourself that have caught them, like they go pretty hard. Yeah. Cod look like they go hard, but they're actually like dragging in a wet sock.
Okay, so maybe like a carp. Do you guys have carp over there?
We have carp, man. We have European carp here. To be honest, man, carp go pretty hard here.
Oh, do they?
Like when we chase carp on light gear, like they go pretty hard. No doubt, Murray cod on light gear are hard as well. But when you're chasing them on swim bait stuff, man, the bite is that's what you're chasing, man. It's just like this crunch adrenaline, and then your hook set, and then it's like, okay, you're pretty steady. If you're fishing an impoundment net, right? Mm-hmm. If we break it down and we start fishing rivers where we've got like, big water flows, then if you're hooking a decent fish in some water flow, it can give you a lot of shit, man. What might feel like a 10-minute fight, it's only like a 3-minute fight, but they just, because of the current, they make it so hard to pull them in. But yeah, man, a lot of people get this perception when they look at a cod and they go, fuck, man, that thing must like rail, man. That must go hard. But to be honest, man, look, you guys are catching largemouth on what? 15 pound, 10 pound? Like
everyone uses for swim baits. Everyone's using about 20, 17 to 20. Yeah.
20 pound, man. Like me and my best mate, we fish a local impoundment here, which Oliver fished at. So Oliver would be able to vouch for it. That's probably, he sort of described it, sort of looked like a SoCal lake. It was, a lot of mountains around it and clear water, and it just looked really cool. And this lake's called Lake Eildon, and we fish it nearly, once, or even try and get there every fortnight. We had an instance, man, where he had 15 pound on one rod. So we've just started fishing straight through fluorocarbon, man. This is something big. Like prior to this, the last, say, 2 years, man, every motherfucking Murray cod angler just fished straight braid with a mono leader. That's all you knew. And the theory was that, straight braid, you'd fish 50, 60 pound braid, because if a cod drags you into a snag, you don't want to get bust. So going back to the discussion of, what you guys use for swim baits, we're catching meter plus Murray cod on 15 to 20 pound fluoro straight.
So you're pretty much doing the same thing guys are doing here. So when you talk about the braid to fluoro, we use that for calico bass. So calico bass is its own different deal where they're a saltwater version of kind of a largemouth, and we'll use those. We'll use the same setup. Like I'm using like an Ultra Swimbait Classic with, you know, a 50 or 65 pound braid to like a 20 or even 30 pound leader in the salt, because it doesn't matter as much because they're not line shy. So who's the guy that is like the Butch Brown of the Murray cod that kind of came up with the swim bait idea?
Yeah.
Who did that? Yeah.
Man, Butch Brown is like, I love Butch Brown. Like, I love watching everything that he's done, man. And so have you guys. Like, I can understand why you guys look up to him because, you know, like just an OG in the game. And for us, man, it's a weird, like, how long do you think swim baiting's been around for bass?
Everyone talks of early 80s.
Yeah, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Like Murray cod and swim baiting, I'd put maximum, man. Like actually in the media, I'd probably say maximum anywhere from say minimum, you know, 5 to 10 years, like around there, 5 to 10 years max. It's been in the media, I'd say. But that's not to say there was guys before that doing it that wasn't really out there, social media, big companies selling swim baits for Murray cod. It was probably being done way before that, without a doubt. The Butch Brown, man, it's a big call. There's a lot of really, really, really good Murray cod anglers, but to say, you know, a genius with swim baiting, man, there's a guy that if you can look him up, anyone, even you guys in the States, if you want to look him up on Instagram, he's got he designs his own swim baits, and they're called nocturnal creature swim baits. His name's Rowan Harris. Well, I can even link you to it, man. You can
that'd be great.
He's probably been a pretty OG in the game. Like when swim baiting was starting to hit Australia, he was throwing swim baits way before that. Like a mag draft, Megabass mag draft, man. Like we do really well on that bait. You know, he was banging fish on that bait, really big fish, before it even hit the Australian market. So I would say he would probably be the OG, but is he big on social media? Not really. He was probably like a Butch. He was pretty low key, kept his shit to himself. And he's only a young guy, man. He's not nowhere near Butch's age. Yeah. But he's a young dude and he does well, man. But fuck, you guys since the 80s, man, that's incredible.
But you have is there like another sport like brim? Is that a sport fish for you guys?
It is, man. Yeah, brim. I don't chase brim, man. I don't want to sound like rude or anything, but a lot of heavy Murray cod anglers look down on brim anglers as well.
Why is it just because it's like a bitchy fish, kind of?
Yeah, man.
Because I've watched the tournament and nothing against. It's like a crappie. You know what crappie are?
It is. So
it's like a crappie here, but they don't get bigger than maybe that big. A brim?
Yeah, man. No, a brim, like I wouldn't even know what a good size brim is. I'd probably say like a 40 centimeters is like a trophy brim. I could be wrong, man. I don't trace brim at all. But
they do big tournaments though, right? There's actually like full-on tournaments.
There's dudes winning like, you know, kayaks and fucking expensive boats, man. Like there's a lot of money in the brim stage, but you know, it's just something that's sort of a particular angler attracts it, and they just go that way for their whole life. Like you rarely see a guy on a lake throwing big swim baits and you're like, oh fuck, I've seen that guy fish for brim. You know, like it's the Murray cod scene is like just hardcore fucking Murray cod anglers, man. Like we just chase Murray cod and that's it. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys who do other stuff, but 90% of the time they've just got that adrenaline just to catch fucking big cod. You know, you might see them chasing trout or something once in a while, but 80% of the time they're chasing Murray cod.
What were they using before this? Were they just using bait?
So, yeah, good question, man. When I was growing up, and I recommend this to any young angler, man, that's listening right now, like, you know, especially Murray cod, and you can probably vouch for same for bass, man, you know, start on bait. It's the best thing I ever did, Nick, was I learned so much on bait, man. Like, you know, you guys have crawfish. Yeah. Yeah, we call them yabbies, man. So it's a weird term probably to you guys. But,
it's like throwing a shrimp on the bobby. I bet you heard that a fucking million times.
Yeah, so we call them yabbies, man. So growing up, we used to use yabbies, worms. We got this thing called a barty grub, man. Have you heard of that?
No, what does it look like?
Man, if you can Google it, it looks cool. It's like this it's a big grub, man. It's like they can get like that big, and they're like they can get pretty thick, and you pull them up out of the ground, man. And they were the number one Murray cod bait. If you had barties, man, like you either went out and dug them up yourself, or you were buying them, and they were expensive, man. Like one barty grub can go for like $3-4 now.
Fuck, that's a lot, man, for a bait, like a worm, like pretty much. That's crazy. Yeah. So then, will you get a bigger bite on a swim bait though? You won't be able to catch the same size fish. Bait
will always outfish, man, because it's a scent. You know, cod can sniff it or smell it or scent it, whatever you want to call it. They're always gonna hit a bait over an artificial bait. And you know, I think the kick that we get out of throwing big swim baits is fooling a fish with something that's artificial, man. There's nothing like it. You just can't, and you guys could probably compare the same thing, you know. I remember catching my first swim bait fish, and it was like, fuck me, man, this is like amazing. Like, yeah, and then you just get addicted. And then you've probably had days on the lake, man, where you smoke a couple on a swim bait, and it's like, fucking swim baiting is the best thing ever. You know what I mean? And then from there, you forget about bait, and then it's sad, man. You look back on bait as sort of like a bad way of angling.
Well, I'm sure, like, I mean, here we don't really. I think the bait, like you talk about the bait, that was in the 80s. Like the people still fish the crawfish and stuff, but that was the 80s. Like Danny Cadota was another guy that did it. But now it's like if you're it's like a jig. They're throwing a jig and a worm or something, or you're throwing a big swim bait, depending where you're at. But these guys look down on jig fishermen. No, I don't. But people do. People rather, like, everyone would rather see the big. I guess the big bite off of a big swim bait. Not everyone. I mean, a lot of guys are just throwing that swim bait. That's what I've asked guys. I go, what's the difference if someone caught it with a jig or a swim bait? I don't think there's any fucking difference. I mean, it's a bait to bait. Now, if you're throwing a live fucking trout, it's a different story. You know, it's illegal and fucking you can't illegal. Do it. You know. Yeah. So touching on that, man, and bait, right? I'll tell you some pretty cool things. It's not cool, man. I'm not proud of it, but. When my grandfather was growing up, like in the 60s and fucking old school times, man, they used to fish what they call a springer, man. Have you ever heard of a springer? No. So what a springer was, for example, Murray cod live on snags in the river, man. Like they want to find structure, similar to bass. You know, you're always looking for structure. But the saying goes, the bigger the log, the bigger the cod. That's how they looked at it back in the day. So what they used to do, man, they used to get like a couple meters of what they call green cord, and it was literally just like a really tough rope, man. It had no give in it. And they would go in like a small little boat, and they'd pull up to a snag, and they'd get like a rubber tire, man, right? And they would tie the string around the rubber tire, then put the rubber tire over the snag. Okay? So then you got this rubber tire that's got give, and then you got string that's attached to it, and then on the other end of the string, you got a big fucking sinker, you know, however, depending on how heavy the current is, and like, you know, a big hook. And then they bait the hook up, man. So some old school dudes would put a sinker and get down deep into a hole and put a big yabby, you know, stacks of probably even carp on it, whatever you want to call it, and drop it down into the hole and then catch big cod like that. Or other dudes, which I know of in the old school days, would say no sinker, big hook, big carp, and then put the hook in the back of the carp and let it swim freely, but it's attached to the line. And, man, you'd be camping at night on the river and you'd just hear this fucking boof, and that's just like a big cod come up and boof this live bait carp. And you'd go there and then you would pull the string up and they would catch big cod. That's what they used to do back in the early days. Do they taste good?
Cod?
No, Murray cod. Yeah,
does it eat well?
Yeah.
Good question, man. I've only eaten it a handful of times. Okay. The rivers, a lot less because it's dirtier water. That lake I was referring to before, Lake Eildon, beautiful. because they're such clear water, man. But really underrated eating fish, man. Yeah, it tastes well. It does.
Okay.
If it's cooked well, yeah. Like you mix it in with a lot of Thai flavors, man. Like give it a lot of ginger and all that type of stuff. Can come up really nice. Yeah.
What about when you're picking swim baits, you start getting a bigger selection? What are the baits that match like the forage of the fish? Like, is there certain glides, certain soft baits that you're going to use more than another?
Yeah, man. What's really big here in Australia, I was having a chat to a mate about this today. You guys have a really big market of everything. Us guys, our hard bait market, man. So, like, are you familiar with jackal ganterelles, jackal giganterelles? They're big here, man. But our soft bait game, it's weak, man. We don't have a big market of soft baits, you know. Mega Bass Mag Drafts, there's a Biwa shad. They're probably the two most popular. But in terms of matching the hatch, man, if we're fishing like a big impoundment, we're trying to match like a trout, so like a brown trout or a rainbow trout. If we're fishing, and even in the big impoundments, we're trying to match carp. And then we're also trying to match, if you really want to get fancy, there's all different types of like, what's the word? Like bait fish.
Okay.
The biggest bait fish that we have here is a roach. And roaches, man, they can get up to, we've seen them in Lake Eildon like that, you know. So trying to match that can be a little bit difficult because our soft bait game is not great here. We don't have a massive choice of soft baits, which is why I try and get all my soft baits from you guys, because you guys have got such a wide range to choose
What's
from.
the fucking shipping like, though? The shipping's got to be crazy, right?
Man, shipping is fucked. I literally was just about to do a deal before, man, with a guy off Facebook in Swimbait Universe, and he done me a quote, man, for 3 soft baits. I can't say what they are, but 3 soft baits, man, and they come back with $144 US shipping.
Fuck.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I was just like, nah, man, all good. I was like, fuck. He's like, man, I feel so bad. Like, you're like, no, I'm like, nah, it's all good. Don't stress.
Yeah. What about
man, prior to COVID, I was getting baits for 20, 30 US shipping, man.
That ain't bad. Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. Like, you know, you can't.
Well, we do a. I ordered a jerk shad. You know what jerk shads are?
Yeah.
By
man.
Gulp.
Yeah.
So jerk shad, the 7-inch, they don't make it in the US anymore. They only make it in Australia. So what I do is I fucking order a shitload because the shipping's so much, and then have them shipped here. But it takes forever. But that's the only place you can get them in Australia is the big jerk shads.
Where do you buy them from in Australia?
I just Googled the fucking whatever. I forgot the name of the site, but they work so good for calico bass. Like it's on a sled head. So I just, you know, that's my thing that I get from you guys that we don't have here anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
look, man, a lot of guys here in Australia probably wouldn't buy a lot of baits from America, but there's a handful, or there probably is more, man. I can't really speak on behalf of other people, but I know for sure there's a handful of us that do ship or do. I'm always looking on Swimbait Universe, man. And I'm always looking at Swimbait Underground.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say, man, is you guys, man, in the States, you are always looking for references. And it's, man, us Aussies are so laid back, man. It's not good.
We don't trust no one in here, huh?
No, man, you guys don't trust any motherfucker. It's like, yeah, man, like we're just like, yeah, man, here's a bait, post it. You know, it's just un-Australian to not do the right thing, you know, whereas guys in America, they're like, who's this Australian dude? Can someone back me up? Blah, blah, blah. And going up, talking about backing me up, Danny Dalmata from Blanket.
We don't call him anymore. We call, this is what his name is, Gale. He's right here. Gale's right there.
He's a
Gale, yeah. Danny's a great guy. He's a
oh man, Danny, shout out to Danny. Danny's an absolute legend, man. He's helped me so much. It's not even funny. Like he's helped me source things that you can't get here. And you know, guys are like, nah, I'm only going to ship to a US address. I'll just shoot Danny a message, and Danny's like, yeah, sweet, just ship it here and I'll get it across to you. Yeah. You know, he's been really good.
Is there some bait makers from Australia that are doing really well. And does anyone pour like a good plastic, like a big plastic?
There's a young guy coming up, man. His name's Perch Palm Plastics. If anyone wants to check him out in America, man, you might like him because he's got some pretty cool stuff. I'll send you that link as well.
Yeah.
He hand pours some really nice plastics, man. He's doing well, and I really hope his business takes off so that he can grow the range and do really well. He makes, and man, actually the US dudes might be interested in his stuff because he's got a really big range, man. He's got like really small stuff for like your like throwing worms and stuff like that, and crawl baits and stuff. And then he's got your bigger swim bait stuff. So he's got a pretty good range, man, and they're all hand poured. So he'd be worth one checking out.
Yeah.
Soft bait wise, hand poured, man, like a garage builder. There's not a lot. That's the sad thing. Yeah, man. I could be wrong, but hand poured, like as in OG in the back of the garage, fucking like Mike Gilbert. There's not many people like him getting around in Australia at all, man. There's a big market gap there for it, but you know our market's so small too, man.
That's what I was gonna say, and the materials are probably hard to get as well.
Yeah, right? But hard baits, man. We got a lot hard more baits, hard bait makers. Yeah. So like we've got a guy named Cuttafara Lures, which is we'll probably speak about it later, the Two Cast and Pass project. Okay. He designed that bait for me. He's been around for a long time, man. Old-fashioned, original hard body, man. We had like a crankbait, probably about that big, was what we call a stump jumper. But that's gone pretty large scale now. A lot of their stuff is plastic and ABS.
Oh, they got injection molds done, and it's all production.
Molded, yeah.
Okay.
There's another one, man, that I think a lot of dudes in the US would really like. Chilton Co-Tackle.
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, man.
Chilton. I think
he does some really cool stuff, Nick. He spends a lot of time. Another good one, man, is Nutterjuck.
Okay.
NUTTERJUCK. He's another one to check out on
Does he make a glide?
He makes a glide.
Okay, I think I've seen him that one too.
Yeah, he makes I think he makes a lot more triple joint stuff and double joint stuff, but I'm pretty sure he has done a glide. Yeah. There's another young guy coming up out of our up in Canberra. He's Bidgy Lures, BIDGEE Lures. He's just made a glide as well. And that's cool to see, Nick. Like, glides are so underrated here, man.
That was my next question is like, how do you go about, so I'm sure a lot of dudes are throwing plastics, the big swim baits. When did you start picking the glide up, and what are some of the go-to glides? Are you using what you have there? Are you using DRT stuff? Are you using, what's kind of the go-to?
I got my hands on DRT a long time ago when it first probably came out in the States, man. And I've used it a fair bit here. I've got a Ghost as well, which is cool. But DRT, man, not a lot of guys fish DRT here. To be honest, man, if DRT had an outlet in Australia, I reckon it would do well.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, Nick, man. Like, it's frustrating. Like, I'd love DRT to come here. If they're listening to this, it would be good for them to come here. That they're one that I think would sell well here. But in terms of go-to, man, and I will give one out here, and I don't like giving stuff out all the time. The 250, man.
I think that's an everything for everyone, right? 250 is like an all go around everywhere.
It's still hidden in Australia. I don't think a lot of dudes sleep on it.
Yeah.
It does well, man. I've had some sessions, man, on a particular lake that it just calls fish in, man. Like we've had a morning where I was throwing it, and I reckon, because Murray cod aren't a schooling fish. They're a solo fish, man. So to really get their attention, you've really got to stand out, like, you know, to draw them in. And I've had mornings, man, where I've drawn in 4 or 5. You know, that's big, man. Like that's that's a hot session, you know. And you know, it just shows me that there's so much potential in that bait. And I know Butch was smoking them so many years ago, and it makes sense why he was, you know. And I think it's still untouched in in Australia. Roman maids, man, negotiators. A lot of people look down on it because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
But I've fished that a fair bit, and it draws fish in. That's amazing bait. A lot of people just can't fathom the price, which I'm sure you guys have that argument all the time.
Oh,
is that pretty common?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it's $500 fucking dollars. I don't have that.
Yeah, it's fucking expensive, man. I see some dudes throwing what's that big motherfucker that he's made now? The big one, man, the $1,000 one.
Oh, the
chaser. Yeah, man, I'm scared I'd snap that off. Hey,
I've done it. I snapped off some good ones.
What did you snap off?
I snapped off a DRT. What was I doing? Not retying, because I went fished and then I went the next day. I didn't retie and I snapped it off right there. And then I lost probably my PB, a double digit. I'm thinking with Caesar from Toxic and Gail and Danny. I went with them fishing, and the split ring broke. Not the split ring, the eye of the hook. So not the actual split ring, but the eye. The hooks broke off the eye. Yeah. So it was not my fault, thank God. But if I probably would have had the rod, this is the next thing we'll get into, is I didn't have a rod with enough a bend in it, that was parabolic enough,
It wasn't parabolic, didn't really set the hook in.
Yeah, it was too stiff, and I probably broke the hook for that reason. What are you guys using reel rides like down there for these?
The big thing that's taken off in Australia, man, and I'm not sure if these guys have used, I'm sure you've heard of it by now, is Miller rods.
New rod? No.
No, MILLER.
Mill rods.
Miller rods. No. They're pretty big, man. So he's an Australian rod builder. Okay. Ian Miller is his name. Check him out on Instagram, Miller Rods, MILLER rods. So he sponsors Carl Jacobson in the Bass Elite series there in America.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
Carl's an Aussie. And it's awesome to see him using Aussie rods, which is really, really cool. And that has taken off, man, in Australia. Like everybody's go-to is a Miller rods.
And he has a Swimbait rod. That's for
man. Ian's done an incredible job. He's designed like every application for Murray cod fishing, from like quite a parabolic to a heavier. I know you guys are big on like medium, heavy, extra heavy. We don't rate them like that, man. We just rate them off like 1 to 4 ounces, 3 to 8 ounces. Like we go off lure weight. Which, to be honest, man, is it a really good system? Probably not. I'm learning a lot off you guys.
Yeah.
Like I feel like medium, heavy, extra heavy is probably a better way of going about it.
Yeah.
What would be a medium for you and a heavy for you? Like,
so like my Tiny Clash rod is a Phoenix. I fish all Phoenix, and it's a M1. So it's like 1 to 3 ounce for a Tiny Clash.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what it is. But it's
how long there?
8'2".
8'2". So you're fishing really long rods, man. Yeah.
I'm a short guy though, so I'm only 5'9". So but I my heavy goes really heavy. Like I got my 250 rod. It's like a rated really heavy. It's a custom by Performance Tackle, but it's like a jig stick for saltwater fishing, the blank. So it's like a big heavy blank, but it has
it's pretty stiff, wouldn't it, man?
But the end of it's real parabolic, like that. Those rods, So a lot of these blanks are like that. The big, like the low downs, great rod too. All these custom guys that are building these, the Leviathan or whatever it might be, they have these blanks that are made perfectly for them. And it's getting more and more, I think, when you say, there's all these different descriptions. I don't fucking know what half of them are. I just give recommendations.
Yeah, man. Like I talked to a few boys out of the States that have got low down custom rods. Yeah. And they can't speak highly enough of them, man. Like I'd love to try one of them one day to see what the fuss is all about. And that's the other thing too, man. We don't have a lot of rod builders in Australia. Miller Rods is by far the biggest. That's the sort one.
And do you have commercial rods you use too as well? Like do you have a tackle shop that's by you that is a good one?
Yeah, man. We like a lot of the tackle shops now that are like walk-in tackle shops have definitely clicked onto the whole Swimbait theme and are starting to stock a lot of that stuff. And our biggest one, probably the most well-known one Australia-wide, that's like a franchise, is Tackle World.
Okay.
But it's very mainstream, which is totally understandable because you've got guys that just come in off the street to buy something, you know, but your hardcore guys that are always, you know, looking for something a little bit different and probably go to their online Australian stores.
Mm-hmm.
So like a big one, a good mate of mine owns is Eptide Tackle.
I've seen that one before, I think.
Eptide, man. Yeah. Funny enough, man, he was like, this is crazy. They stock HUDs on Eptide.
Yeah.
And at one point there, man, you could buy a HUD cheaper in Australia than what you could in America. So he had dudes from America like buying HUDs here and then shipping them over. You know, it was crazy. And yeah, and then you've got Eptide, you've got there's a few other ones, man, but I wouldn't say there's a lot of online stores with a lot of unique Swimbait stuff. But if you're looking for, you know, Aussie guys, man, Aussie anglers, they're quite easy to please, man. If that sounds like they just want to rod and reel and they just want to go fishing. A lot of the guys are like that. Whereas I notice in America, a lot of you guys are very particular on color and all that type of stuff. Where we're not too fussed here.
Well, I think because we have so many fucking choices, it's like you say, let's get a glide. And this is a downfall, like for people that, you know, I get recommendations from buddies and I'm not by any means like a swimbait fisherman, like, you know, the Gilberts or the, you know, these guys are hardcore. I'm a noob at best. You know, I'm not well-rounded like them. So when I'm going out, I'll get all these baits and I want to fish all these fucking baits. The problem is I'm not learning everything else at the same time. And I had a friend bring that up to me. He's going, why are you bringing all these fucking baits? Just bring two, focus on those two, leave everything else at home. And then when you learn those two, move on to the next one. And I'm like everyone else where I'm like, fuck, I just want to take them all and try them, you know? Yeah. But
man, you'll be surprised how much shit you have in your boat that you don't fucking use. Oh man, trust me. Fucking, there's just so much shit in there, eh?
Yeah. You know? So I mean, it's I think that was one thing. Maybe it's probably better that you don't have as many too, because it's easier to learn that bait. Like that 250, you probably know fucking great, you know?
Mm. And going back to that, man, Baitrlgn has been, you know, he's probably people like, oh, who's inspired you the most as an angler? And I had this conversation with one of my best mates all the time. He's like, he knows, like, Baitrlgn for me is, I love the way he goes about it, man. And there's a clip on YouTube, man. If anyone hasn't seen it, jump on there and just search through his channel. He talks about fishing the Mega Bass Ice Slide. I think it's 252. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, the big one. And he just talks about grabbing it, going on the boat, one reel, one rod, you know, and just the one bait, going out there and just fishing the fuck out of it. And that's how he got so well on that particular bait. And that theory, man, has been something I've done from day one. But always find that the minute you have more shit in your boat, the more you start questioning. And that's the worst thing possible, man. Because, man, Murray cod, fuck, it's a mental game, man. Oh, like, talking about Oliver, man. And, you know, one of the questions I love to ask Oliver is, how would you compare it to bass in America?
Yeah, right.
It'd be a great question, man, because Oliver, if anyone hasn't seen these series, man, jump onto the Big Bass Dreams YouTube page and check out the series that Oliver did in Australia with the Aussie boys here. Shout out to Cal, Josh, and Crowy. They done an amazing job with Oliver here.
Those dudes, those guys are kind of like the main guys that are pretty good at Murray cod fishing.
Man, yeah, geniuses, really good anglers. Okay. Yeah, they're OGs. Like you look at them guys, man, they'll sling in big Murray cod before social media. They're awesome, man. They're really good what they've done. Oliver has probably got himself a really good crew to work with over here, which is good. And we all talk. We're all good friends, which is awesome. But Oliver talks about it in the series, man, where he's like, we've gone a couple of days here without a bite. And it's like, fuck, like that's Murray cod fishing, man. And then if you haven't seen the series, Nick, watch it, because he turns around, man, and he has this unbelievable run.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. He smokes fish that dudes try to do for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
And that's probably bringing those techniques from here that he knew. You know how to read the water. So here's another question for you about reading the water. What kind of structure are you looking for when you're fishing for these fish? Are you looking for points? Are you looking for rocks? Are you looking for art? Like, what are you looking for?
Biggest thing, man, if I'm in an impoundment, I'm looking for flats.
Okay.
So why I like a flat is because where there's a flat, there's got to be a drop off.
Okay.
And where there's a drop off is deeper water. And what we find with Murray cod is that they always want to go back into that deeper water for security, or, they want to keep moving up or down the river, whatever it might be. But then they love the flat to go up and feed, similar to how a bass would, So if I'm in an impoundment, I'm looking for a flat that's most likely got grass on it or weed. And then if it's a bonus, if it's just flooded with timber underwater. Okay. And that's probably the main thing. Because what you'll find, man, is in scenarios like that, no matter how good your sounder is, you won't even see a Murray cod. They're so hidden in structure, man. They do so well, And then opposing to that, if I'm on that flat and I'm not getting much and there's not a lot of action going on, the second thing I'm looking for is that little bit deeper water, that, 8, 9, 10 meters of water. And then I'm probably trying to look for a lot of bait.
Okay.
So,
and do you have a boat? Do you fish from a boat?
Yeah, man. Fish from a boat. Yeah.
What kind of boat do you like using for this? Like, because I've seen the boats, who was the guy? There's a guy I talked to, he was going to come on earlier. He's a tournament guy though, I think. He fishes brim, yeah. But the boats are like my boat. I have a 17-foot center console, and it's aluminum, man, with the 60. So yeah, that's very small for people here. People are fishing big fucking, 21 foot. So what kind of boats are you guys? 2021, 1921. Yeah. When my boat's a deeper boat because I fish in the ocean as well.
Yeah. So you've got that swell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's your boat?
I fish out of so the boat brand is a Quintrex. It's an Aussie boat, Australian boat. It's a Stealth Hornet, so that's just the name of it. And it's a 5'10" man, so it's a 5.1 meter boat.
Okay.
Okay.
What is that? What's the fucking meter to? I'm stupid.
Fuck, man, what is it? 3 foot to a meter?
Okay. So about an 18-foot, 17, 18-foot.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Something like that. I'm like you. I'm probably not the best with feet. But in saying that, man, I've had a few dudes like who've looked at my boat from America when I've showed them photos, and they're like, "Fuck, what is that thing? Like, it looks unreal."
Yeah.
And what it is, man, is Murray cod. We're always fishing through the gnarliest shit, man. Like I listened to Mike speak a few times about positioning his boat on the water and going through the shrub and just fucking scratching the side. Like, that's what it's designed for.
Okay.
That's why we use aluminium here now, is because we're going over sometimes we might be going over stumps. Sometimes we're going through gnarly shit a lot of the time, because that's where the cod are living. And that's why a lot of Murray cod anglers don't really own a fiberglass boat.
Okay, so that was my question. Is like, I don't really see many fiberglass boats. It's because you guys got to go over some shit. Or are you running an outboard or inboard, a jet drive?
It's
so it's not like it's just a regular outboard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have
so
a prop.
I run a 5.1 man boat length. I've got a 115 Yamaha VMAX show on the back, and I'm probably getting 79 Ks.
That's fast. That's a big motor for that boat, right?
It is, man.
Yeah. That's a nice. So
my wife is like, "Why do you need to go so fast for?" I'm like,
because it's fun. That's why.
Yeah.
So you're fishing from the boat most of the time. How much water are you covering? Like, how much water do you have to cover, and how big are the lakes you're fishing?
man, compared to some of your lakes, like in SoCal and that, like our lake's small, man. But Lake Gilden's our biggest lake. Have you heard of the Sydney Harbour Bridge?
I have, yes.
Yeah, if you check up the Sydney Harbour in Sydney, they say Lake Gilden's 3 times the size of that.
Okay.
So I don't even know, man. I'd have to look it up to you and get back to you. But what's a big lake in, what's probably a big lake in SoCal?
In SoCal, we don't have that many big lakes. It's all NorCal. So like Clear Lake would be a big lake up there. You know, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Trust me, like our lakes wouldn't be as big as your lakes. No. You catch them in the river as well. We got them in the lakes and we got them in the rivers. Two styles of fishing, man. Like I could show you some photos of our rivers. I'll send you some photos to Instagram, and they're wild, man. They're just like water and just a shitload of timber. And I've got a separate boat for that.
For the rivers.
Yeah, man.
Because you beat the shit out of it probably, right?
I mean, I'll send you a photo of my prop. It's fucking not even a prop, man. It's got 2 wings. It's got 2 propellers on it, and the third one fucking chopped off. I haven't even bothered changing it, man, because all that boat does, man, is get abused. Like it gets fucking hammered, man. Like you don't even worry about cleaning that boat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then I got a nicer boat that I use in the impoundments, and people go, "Oh, it's a bit over the top," but you know, for me, it's what I like. It's what I enjoy, man. It's what I do. You know?
So, what's your style fishing in the river? Are you looking for current? Are you looking for holes? What are you looking for?
So, what I spent when I compare my times, man, with river fishing and impoundment fishing, I've done a lot of river fishing, man. Impoundments for me, when I say new, probably the last 5 to 6, 7 years. But prior to that, it was always just rivers, man. All right, and still has been a lot of river fishing. But with river fishing, I've learned so much that a lot of it has to do with the flows. So when you've got good or bad flows, it would dictate where you're going to fish. And what I'm looking for, man, is 90% of the time I'm fishing top water. And why do I fish top water is because it's so much more effective, man. You can imagine if you've got brown color stained water full of fucking snags, if you fish a crankbait that's got, 10,000 megs of water coming down the river, that crankbait's going to snag up easy, man.
Yeah.
So you can spend 80% of your time, Nick. Okay, let's go to the river, man. And then you're casting this crankbait and you're just getting fucking snagged up every 20 casts. It's not productive.
So are you throwing like big, the punker? You ever thrown a punker?
I've seen the punker, man. Yeah.
Have you thrown something like that? Yeah. It's a big, like an 8-inch bait. We got big baits like that. Like, I know the Mega Dog is that Mega Bass makes the Mega Dog. Do you fish that?
That's what we would throw. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your top water.
Fished it. Never raised any fish. We fish more.
Okay.
Like a paddler, man.
Have you fished a pompadour yet?
Yes, man. Yeah.
Those will probably work really well, right? Do you have to upgrade? Do you have to upgrade the hooks on those things though?
Yeah, man. So they're like
that's heavy duty shit, man.
Yeah. You'll find, man, especially in the rivers, Murray cod will test your gear to hold it.
Are you using the same line?
We only fish braid in the rivers.
Straight braid. 65?
Braid with a mono leader.
Okay.
60 pound, 50 pound onto like a 60 to 70 pound leader if you wanted to. You could even go tad wider. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What reels are you using?
What I use typically in the river, like a Corrado, Shimano Corrado, something quite low profile, man. Nothing. You don't need a lot of reel, you don't need a lot of line. You're not fishing a lot of deep water. But if I'm fishing swim baits, it's always like a Calcutta 300, 400.
Okay. Same thing. We're fishing them pretty much over here. And the line. So since you said they're kind of like that sock, all you really do is embracing for that impact, and then you're good after that. You're going to be able to pull that fish in.
Yeah. If we're in the impoundment, if we're in the river, it's like, man, if you're solo, think about this. You've hooked say you've hooked a meter plus fish, triple digit, right? You've hooked it, and you've gone, this guy's he's trying to go straight for his snag, man. That's the first thing he's going to do, right? So you've set hooks, you wind, you get him out of the shit. Then you've got to control this fish, control the electric motor, and then net the fish solo.
Okay.
Fucking lot going on.
And how many fish have you lost like that? Like,
to be honest, man, I'm pretty lucky. I've only ever lost 2.
Oh, really?
Actually 3, because a friend of mine, my best mate, he fucked up and netting job. He's gonna.
You better say, hey, you better say his fucking name now for fucking up.
He claims I never fucking hook set the fish good enough. But you can always have that argument, can't you? You know. But yeah, man, I've lost 1 or 2 fish. Not, I wouldn't say boat side, but I would say not far from the boat. I've had instances, man, where they'll hit a paddler bait like that, and if you haven't seen a Murray cod's mouth, they're big, and they'll come in, man, and they'll miss the hooks, right?
Oh,
but what they'll do is they'll snap the bib. So you're like, fuck, I'm on, like you're 20 seconds in there, and then they let go of the lockjaw, right? And then you're like, oh, fuck, it's gone. And then it comes back, and then you got no bib. And you're like, fuck, what happened? And then you're trying to, this is the first time it ever happened to me. I'm trying to work it out. I'm like, fucking hell, like he literally bit the bib and thought that, like, you think that's the hook. And you're
those are replaceable though, right?
They are replaceable.
That's nice. That's real nice.
To be honest, man, it's a give and take, Nick, right? I don't like thick bibs, man, because they just drag too much water. I don't like aluminium bibs because they're too heavy. So I like that lighter bib, but the trade-off is these are going to snap or they're going to bend. Yeah. So you just got to have replacements, man. You just take the 2 screws off out, and that's it, man. So this is the one that we're on. This is a replica that we're using on that 2 casts and pass.
So let's talk about that next, since we're already, on the topic. Kind of give us the idea of what's going on.
So the idea first come off Swimbait Underground, where I think Chris and Matt, they started the traveling slammer. Yeah. Do you remember that, man?
Yeah, we talked about it actually recently.
Yeah. Do you recall when it started?
He talks about it in the podcast, and I think what happened was they kept doing it, but they didn't get it back. It got held hostage.
Oh, bullshit.
But it went around for a long time. Don't quote me. I think that's what happened, and they stopped because they didn't want to lose that bait. I'm pretty sure he says it in a podcast. I might have to cut this out if you did. I'm buddies with Chris and Matt. I know Chris well, so I might go, hey, dude, did you fucking say that? He's like, no. I'll be like, okay, my bad. But I'm pretty sure I do remember it. He does say in the first episode we ever did, which was 2 years ago, he does talk about how long it went, because I think it was like a couple of years for sure.
Man, that thing got fucking battered, bro. It was fucking, I seen photos of it, man, and it was like amazing how good it looked. It got around, Nick.
Yeah. Oh, and so you're trying to do this in Australia with is it the Murray cod? Is it everywhere in Australia? Like you're getting them everywhere?
It's only in selected states because they love to live in that colder weather. So in my state, Victoria, New South Wales, which is above Victoria, and then you'll get like a river in Queensland, but really, really, really low Queensland. And you'll get them in South Australia, which is down the bottom, and then you might get like in a private dam in Western Australia. But that's it. You won't find them anywhere else.
And so your plan is to send this around and kind of do the same thing.
So it's already started, man. And what we've done is I've joined up with that lure maker I mentioned before, Cuttafara Lures, and this is his design. So he does a bigger design, man. And funny enough, like a few American guys, I've showed this to them, and they've loved it, man. They're like, where the fuck do I buy one of these? So if you're wondering where you can get them, share, like, you can jump on, you can jump on a few stores in Australia, and I'll send you a link. Great. And you can buy these. He does them in all different colors. But we've done this one custom, Nick. So usually this model is usually a bit bigger and a bit heavier, but we went a bit smaller because if we're going to be passing it around to anybody, we want them to have any rod that could cast it, So what we did was I started with the bait because I thought I'd start with it to send it off. And I went out December 1st when the Murray cod season starts. and I caught a fish on it. And then what I did was I'd jump on Instagram, nominate the next angler, and then the next angler obviously resends the story on their Instagram or replays it. And then I send him the bait. He gets the bait, he heads out, catches a Murray cod, and then nominates the next angler and so forth. But the only difference is, man, I've designed it so that we do prizes for every fifth angler involved.
Every fifth angler?
What's that?
So every fifth angler involved?
So what happens is, like, say it's me, you, Danny, Chris, and then Matt's the fifth guy. Matt gets the bait. He goes out, catches a Murray cod. Once he comes back and nominates the next angler, that pool of 5 anglers are up for a prize.
Oh, like a raffle.
Like a raffle, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, man. So it's like, you know, we got some cool prizes, man. Like, I've got a lot of the Aussie guys don't know yet, but, you know, Matt and Chris have jumped on board with Swimbait Underground. He sent me some cool stuff.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. It's cool. It's cool.
I have some hats and shit I'd like to send
awesome, man. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've got, who else? I've got Daiwa on board.
Oh, nice.
Towards some cool prizes. I've got some local lure builders on board. I've contacted a few lure builders in America that are interested to get on board as well. And the reason why I want to get some American guys on board, man, is because I want to get this relationship between Australia and America, and I want guys in Australia to experience what is out there in America. You know, there's some really, really cool lure builders in the garage making scene. And if I can get, you know, these guys in a pool of 5 to maybe win a bait or something related to, like, even this podcast or something, it's like, oh, you know, Cast and Crank podcast, jump on Spotify and have a look. All of a sudden you got a new listener.
Oh, that's, you know what I mean? That. No, I mean, after you told me, like I said, you said, hey, you got some listeners down here, and I seen the demographics. I'm like, who the fuck is listening to Australia? I got some, you know, listen shit, you know, and I'm like, well, fuck, man, if there's something there, like, I'd love to talk about it. And like, not like now that I can talk to you, I'd be like, well, who are some other guys that are cool to talk to or have some different outlooks? Now, here's another thing. What kind of wildlife do you have if you're shore pounding from the shore? Like, do you have kangaroos trying to fuck you up? Like, how is it down there? Right? I have no clue.
Hey, yeah, man, Australia's fucked up. Like, everything can kill you here, man. So I'm just getting into hunting, man. Like, one of my best mates, he hunts, and I'm just getting into hunting, like sambar deer and stuff like that here. And talking about shoreline fishing, the biggest thing is snakes, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. Fuck, like, I hate snakes. That's why I like to fish on the boat, man. But especially in summer, man. Like, winter's fine, you know. Yeah. But in summer, man, if you're fishing, like, you know, rivers that have got grassy banks or stuff like that, you got to be careful, man. There's brown snakes that are highly venomous, like, could kill you. Tiger snakes are aggressive. They're another one. They could fuck you up pretty good. And copperheads, man, are another one that probably won't kill you, but they will make you ill. And I've never had it happen, man, but, you know, I guess if you got too close to a big kangaroo, I reckon it would have a crack at you.
Are they like dogs and shit? Like, are they everywhere?
Kangaroos are everywhere, man.
Really?
I read a stat. Don't quote me on it, man, but I reckon if I could find it, I reckon I'd be on the money. There was more kangaroos in Australia than what there was as human population.
Fuck. Have you seen that video of that dude that punched a kangaroo in the fucking face?
That's the shit I'm talking about, man. If you get too close to them, it might do something like that. You don't know. Like, I've never heard of an angler getting fucked up by a kangaroo, but I would suspect that if you did get quite close to it and it felt threatened, it probably would kick you. You know what I mean?
That's a crazy thing, because I like hearing stories. Some of the guys here will hike down mountains and you know, fish for striper, the big striper or largemouth at night or whatever it might be. You fucking run into like mountain lions and shit, like, our bears. Like, dudes, and there was just a video at Pyramid Lake. Someone kept passing it around. This is a lake I've been to. There was like a fucking mountain lion, a small one, following that dude. Yeah. That was like here.
He was filming it, man. Yeah. And it jumped off in the bushes.
And he started yelling, hey, hey. Like, I'm like, fuck that, dude.
And a dude commented, and he's like, hey, buddies, I've fished this area a lot, and this doesn't surprise me. And I'm like, fuck, man. Like, if you're a newbie, like you're not really big on that lake, and you go there and start floor fishing, man, fuck, you'd want to carry like a Glock on you or something.
Yeah, right? You know That's what I'm saying. I'm like, and I've done it once, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so out of shape. It's like, I thought I was going to die. So I'm like, I'll just stick to my boat. I wait till the fucking lake opens, and I don't give a shit. You know, but it's scary seeing that stuff. So that's why I'm like, well, what do you got over there that could really fucking get you? Animal wise, those are the only ones that you really got to worry about. Yeah,
man. Look, if you really want to, there probably is instances where guys are walking on private property, and you know, this is not animals, but I know of like some real old school farmers, man, that have let shots off. Yeah, that's no bullshit, man. Like, I mean, in the middle, like, I could show you on Google Maps, like in the middle of some of the most remote areas where there's like water running through and there's cod in it.
Yeah.
A lot of private farmers that own land that back onto the river, they've had shots, probably not directly fired at
up in the air. They're going like, off. Get out of here.
Yeah. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know? That I've heard of that happening, and I've had it happen to a mate of mine. Other ones, and this is a bit random, man, like bulls. Like, you know, like cows, bulls. Mm-hmm. If you're sort of walking at night and you're going on private property, like, you don't want to be fucking getting too close to something like that at night.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know of anyone there probably is people that have been charged by bulls and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's super common.
Okay.
But yeah, man, we don't have any. Like I know guys like. This Lake Eildon that we fish at, man, it's full of wild dogs.
Wild dogs?
Wild dogs, man. Yeah.
Fuck. Are they crazy too? They running in packs?
Yeah. They run in packs, man. Like, there's some pretty fucked up footage of you get like sambar deer, and then they're being surrounded by like 8 or 9 wild dogs, and the sambar deer is just sitting there like trying to fight them off, and they're just trying to fucking, like, they're trying to maul this deer, but it's just obviously too big. But wild dogs are a big problem here, man. Huge problem. And going back to what I was saying, there's guys that have gone and camped up on a like a ridge, and then they're camping, and then, you know, they'll wake up in the morning and there'll be, you know, wild dogs around the camp. That's happened.
Can you kill them
as well? Nah. No, I think not that I know of. I'm pretty sure he was like sort of camping near his boat, so he just got in his boat and just.
But you can you shoot him like if you feel threatened, or is it like against the law?
We can, man. Yeah, but for us, we can't own Glocks here.
Oh, you can't.
We can't own handguns here.
Only rifles.
We can own rifles, for hunting purposes only. So you got to have
how was COVID out there? So can you talk about any of that? Because it looked crazy where you fucking live. Compared to
here. We were literally locked up, man. Like, that's no bullshit. Like,
did they really come house to house and check and shit?
They didn't come house to house where I live, because where I live, it's quite countryside. But from what I've heard, man, in the big cities, it was they were coming across and sort of checking if you were home. If you lived in like an estate, if you drove outside of your estate, you'd get pulled up. Where you going? What are you doing? Blah blah blah.
Did you have to stay home most of the time, or it really didn't affect you as much?
In the countryside, man, like, I couldn't hook the boat up and go fishing, because somewhere along the line of my house and the lake or the river, there probably would have been a police officer.
Oh, so you had them? People were stopping you though. Like, people asked me if that happened here. I was like, nah, they didn't stop you. It got crazy here, like where.
Right.
Fucking dude, I would go to the store and it'd be like, I went and bought some shotgun shells and stuff, and I'm like, to Walmart, and there was like 3 boxes left. I'm like, it's never like this. So I grab all 3, and there's 3 guys behind me to grab some. So I'm like, fucking take one, you know? This was when it started 2 years ago.
Right now, that's happening. That's happening in Australia now.
Is it happening right now?
Oh man, I could send you photos of our supermarkets. Fucking meat shelves are empty.
Shit.
No toilet paper, man. Did you have a toilet paper frenzy?
Yeah, that's why I bought a fucking bidet. Now I got a clean asshole.
You got a clean ass. Did you wax it?
Yeah, you bet. Just like my fucking nose hairs, my wife did.
No, man, that's
scary.
It's fucking bad here, man. It's super bad. And right now, man, like going to the supermarket, they're shutting down certain supermarkets because they're understaffed.
Fuck.
Have you had COVID there?
Yeah, I just had it Christmas.
How was it?
Well, I got the Omicron. I don't know if I had the Omicron. Fine. I still drank beers and fucking. It wasn't bad for me. My wife got it a little worse. All my kids got it. Everyone got it.
Were they bad?
No, it was all fine. I'm vaccinated and my wife's vaccinated. The kids aren't. But I mean, it wasn't that bad. A lot of people are getting a different variant. I don't think it's as bad. I don't know. But some people, like if you ever listen to Mike, Mike Lane, did you ever listen to the Ballast Point Fishing team?
Mike Lane, yeah.
So he got it really bad.
Yeah.
So did you listen to the owner? Where did he live at from Ballast Point? He's from Australia. The owner from Ballast Point. You have to listen to that one. I forgot.
Where was he based?
Listen to it, but he's a big fisherman. And he's from Australia. Like he talks about growing up over there and coming here. And he's a really, really cool guy. But yeah, Mike got it pretty bad and he's better now. But I think it's a little different variant. But I think what's happening to you guys now is like what happened a while ago here. But you guys didn't get it as bad before, right?
Nah, what's your vaccination and unvaccination status like? What can you do as a citizen?
I'll do whatever fucking I want. I don't know. The vaccination does nothing. So my work, I've had it checked twice. Like, because for what I do, I'm an estimator for a company, and we'll go to the job site, and they'll be like, hey, let me see your vax status.
And that's it, man. But if you're unvaccinated, could you go on to that job site?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them. Some you can't.
Right now, man, in Australia, if you are unvaccinated, you can't do nothing.
So you got vaccinated? Yeah,
fucking oath. Right now, man, if you're unvaccinated, man, a lot of people lost their jobs. So say, for example, I knew a guy that was a plumber for 30 years and didn't want to get the vaccination at the same company for 30 years, and they just got rid of him like that.
Dude. And that's a mandatory government thing. Like you got
mandatory government, man. Right now, Northern Territory, so the top state of Australia, if you are unvaccinated, you can't even go to work.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, you can only leave your house to go, I think, to get food or medical reasons or to get vaccinated. That's it.
When did that change?
Just now, the last week.
So it's gotten really bad right now in Australia.
Oh man, it's fucking bad. Did you see the whole Novak Djokovic situation, the Australian Open tennis? So Djokovic, the tennis player. So he's unvaccinated, man, and he couldn't enter Australia because he was unvaccinated. But Tennis Australia, who own, like, obviously the corporation, said yes, you're allowed to come. You've got an exemption, and you've got medical reasons, which he didn't.
Yeah.
And he come to Australia. He's gone to enter the country, and border security stopped him.
Fuck, dude.
And he actually just got out of court now because he fought his court case with the Australian government. He beat the Australian government, and now he's allowed to play in the Australian Open, and every single Australian citizen has to pay for that bill now.
Oh, my God, dude.
Australia's a pretty crazy place, man, when it comes to politics.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I seen the riot shit, too, from a while ago, right?
Yeah, man.
I don't know how bad that was. I just saw the pictures with, like, the military. It looked wild.
Yeah, man. Your stuff in New York was next level, but
that was crazy. But I mean, California wasn't as bad. Yeah. New York was a little worse. I mean, I did see the military come in, but we never saw where it went. It was like the National Guard, and I'm pretty much, I flipped out for the first 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, no one's drinking. We got to be healthy. Then 2 weeks later, I'm like, fuck this, dude. We're stuck at home doing nothing. I'm getting fucked up every night.
What beer do you drink there, man?
I drink any beer that gets me drunk.
Yeah.
I usually drink a Modelo or Coors Light or
Coors? I love Coors, man.
I'll drink Coors. I'll drink Foster's sometimes. I'll drink everything.
What do you pay for Coors there?
Let's see. An 18-pack is like $12, 12 or $14.
Ah, that's cheap, man.
Oh, because it's for you guys, that's imported, right? So it's not domestic beer. Oh.
Yeah.
So what is your beer you drink to get fucked up? Like what's a regular beer?
Coors Light would cost me, if I went to the bottle, like down to the shop now, I'd probably pay like $50-something or $48 for like a pack of 12.
Fuck. So what do you drink that's cheap that you can
We drink, man, a lot of Australians love like a heavy lager beer.
Okay.
Like a lager. So like, for example, Victorian Bitter, VB. Okay. That's my go-to. It's a real heavy beer, man, but I love it. It's good for the heat. Great Northern is another one. A lot of Australian beers. Another one would be Carlton Dry or Carlton Draft are the other two. But Coors, man, I got onto Coors last year. Fuck, I like it. It's good beer.
People hate it here. People make fun of it because they say it tastes like fucking water. I'm like, it's like a cheap here. It's a cheap beer, so it's like like I'll do it when I'm working or I'm working on anywhere. I do the podcast. It's just like a beer you could just drink and maintain your buzz and not get too fucked up like a Ballast Point. You get fucking trash.
Well, that's what a VB would fuck you up.
Yeah, exactly. So if I had if I do 2 podcasts, I got 10 fucking beers. I'm like, woo, I'm fucking done. I'm slurring, not doing that, Yeah. But that's this shit's very interesting to me. Like I know nothing about Australia, so it's like, I'm thinking Tasmanian Devils are fucking running everywhere, and
So Tasmanian Devils are based in Tasmania, which is like the bottom state.
That's how stupid I am.
It's we don't see that. I'm pretty sure they're like literally on the verge of becoming extinct.
Really? How's that? Can you guys have marijuana down there? Can you smoke weed down there?
No, you can't. Still legal.
It's still illegal. Okay.
Yeah, you can buy CBD oil, man.
Okay.
Online, but like very small, 10 ml bottles. It's funny, man. My older brother, he passed away from bowel cancer in 2015. And talking about CBD oil, man, we got our hands on a good family friend of mine. She knew a guy that does like I don't know, like because it's banned, marijuana is legal here, man. Like, it's hard to explain. Like in America, it's probably more common. Like we talk about like the bud, and they turn it into a paste.
Yeah. I know.
And they use it for medical prescription. So like it's sort of like a CBD oil, but it's before it's an oil. It's like a real thick, dark paste.
Yeah, and this shit, like a wax. Yeah.
Fucking potent, man. Like anyway, so they gave it to us. Family friend gave it to my brother to be like, just to help with like the pain and stuff. Man, I swear to God, we got a toothpick and we pricked it. Like we didn't even fucking scoop it. Like we just pricked it, and he just like put it on his tongue, and he was fucking like hallucinating. That's how strong
it happens, dude. It happens. There's guys up here that smoke the wax, and I'm like, I seen these guys. They knew they're if they're listening to this, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck you do it, man, because I feel like I'm in a different universe.
He was talking. My brother was like, man, I was seeing dinosaurs. I was like, fucking hell. Like he goes, and don't get me wrong, man. Like he was on chemo and shit as well. Yeah. So like his body was no way near up for it, but. That's why, like, we literally just got a toothpick. Like, you could probably just see like a little black drop. That was it. That's how potent this shit was.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, man, marijuana is illegal here unless it's medically prescribed. Which, to be honest, I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
How that works here.
I do want to talk about. We didn't even talk about your company yet. The Baitrlgn. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where you came up with the idea, what it's kind of means.
Yeah. So Baitrlgn, I started in 2019. I officially started it, but I came up with the concept in like 2017. Like, I don't know, man, like you sort of come up with an idea and you're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And to be honest, Nick, like in the Murray Cod game, we need more creativity. We need more dudes coming out and doing things and adding to the game, and rod builders and lure makers. And, we need more of that. And right now there's a huge gap in the market, and when 2019 came about, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to start this brand. So the term Baitrlgn, man, it came from literally what we spoke about before and, having faith in the bait. So say, for example, you take a lure out or swim bait out and you're just going to hit the lake with that one lure. That's the religion. You got to swear by that bait and you're going to fish it as hard as you can and you're going to do as well as you can on it. And that's where the whole, prayer hands with the lure.
Which is a cool ass idea.
Yeah.
Like, really cool logo.
That all came about. And touching on that, man, Goonie Wolf.
Yeah.
He done that.
Is that who did it?
Yeah,
that
man.
Son of a bitch.
I touched base with Goonie back in late 2018, early 2019, and this is how we constructed all of this, man. And he designed that basic logo with that one.
That's such a catchy. That's what caught my eye. Was that when I first saw it? I'm like, that's fucking bad, dude. Like that looks good.
I appreciate that, man. And man, it came across like that, and I was like, the guy's like, what do you want to do with it? And I'm like, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, man. Like, I just want to roll with organic growth. Similar to yourself, where you just started a podcast, and now look at your studio now. It's amazing, man. Like, organic growth, man, and probably better than me if I'm talking to a lot of other guys in the industry. There's not a hell of a lot of money in apparel, and I don't do it for money. I do it to create, cool different stuff. Caps, clothes, and just get a brand out there, man. That's something different. Like a lot of Australian swim baiters or even just lure fishermen would just generically wear something from a big mass produced store. And I thought, you know what, maybe it's time we just create something a little bit different, and just come up with cool designs, man. And love to collaborate with a lot of people, especially a lot of American guys, local guys.
But I also think it's cool that you do your own deal. Like you're your own deal. So like, I think it's cool to like push the fucking Murray cod thing and have a lot of designs with like Murray cod influenced shit, because there's no one else doing that. It's original. No. It's your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Like all this, man, like I designed all of that.
That's
There's
nice.
like laptop, man. Sitting on a computer.
Which is cool as shit. Yeah. There you go.
I just sit there and just design, man. I love it. I enjoy it. Like I don't do it for the money, because if I did it for the money, fuck, I'd be broke. You know what I mean? So
but the cool thing is this is all new. Like
I'm learning, man.
If you were in the States, I'd be like, you'd be a drop in the big barrel. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many fucking companies, but you're doing something new. You're on the edge. So you're almost like when this thing kicked off, say for bass, like in 2000, when everyone went crazy, 2008 or 9, whenever Butch was doing it all and everyone's catching the big stuff. Then you had companies like SU and, Bass Brigade came out and all these. That's kind of where you're the infancy of the whole Murray cod,
Spot
thing.
on, man. Yeah. I've touched base with Lloyd. Yeah. Lloyd Gomez from, and his story is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Like we've chatted a fair bit, and he inspired me a lot, man, to do it and go ahead and do it. Like Butch, Mike, Swimbait Underground, like Chris and Matt, like, man, Swimbait Underground 8-9 years ago was nothing, man.
Even like I see Danny. I started and I met with Danny, and I've seen him grow with Blank over, the last 3 years since I've been doing this. And it's like, we get to watch each other grow together. So it's cool to see people that start, like Stabent, another one that the shirt I'm wearing, John, another guy I had on that I'm like, I seen his growth since I started. So it's like cool to see people grow. And that's why I'm like, I hope this could help you grow somewhat as, and maybe one day you could fucking come over here and we could fish or,
man,
something like
touching
that.
On that, I mean, in a couple of years when all this shit blows over, I would love to see US guys come here and Aussie guys go there, man. That would,
which I think would be super, super fucking cool to get like a trip of dudes to come down and just, hey, let's see how this works. And then, I mean, even you guys coming up here, and there's like so many different fish to catch on the swim bait.
But even, man, use guys when you guys do the swim bait, the markets, like the one you just ran just recently, man.
Oh, the Toya Drive?
Man, fucking that was mental.
I didn't think there was going to be that many people. I'm very humbled by it because I was like, I don't know how many people they're going to be there, and then it ended up being probably like 400 or 500 people, and I was like, wow, over the whole time, and it was amazing. I was shocked.
Amazing, man. Unbelievable bait makers, unbelievable listeners, speakers. It's like, man, what more would you want? Like, how good is that and look how far you guys have come.
Yeah.
You're doing things like this now. And it's not once a year. You're doing it multiple times a year, which is so good to see. And I'd love to do something similar into Australia. And like you said, where were you guys in 2008, 2009? That's where we are now. We're behind, man, but we'll get there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's plug the cast. Is it Cast and Pass? What is the name of it?
2 Carts and Pass.
Okay. And then let's plug that, and let's plug Baitrlgn, so people know where they can go if they could check out a site if they want to get some of your stuff.
Yeah. So 2 Carts and Pass is affiliated under the Baitrlgn banner. So you can follow the 2 Carts and Pass movement on Baitrlgn's Instagram, which is at Baitrlgn, Baitrlgn. You can follow that whole thing there. We will bring out merch, man, eventually with the 2 Carts and Pass logo and stuff. We'll get there eventually. But Baitrlgn itself, man, www.baitrlgn.com. We ship to America.
Okay.
I do. But the good thing is, man, and the good thing for Americans is shipping to America is not too bad. It's the reverse. So shipping from America.
So you're fucked on that part.
I'm fucked on that part. Because, man, Danny was going to help me out. And Danny's like, man, I'll send you some shit for the 2 Carts and Pass. Yeah. And then I was thinking, man, maybe I should get you to contact Nick and if you just send shit together so it saves it on shipping. I'm happy to cover shipping.
Yeah.
But if we can work something out where it's get it together so it's less cost, that'll work out anyway. But we might need to wait, man, until the shipping prices drop.
Yeah, just let me know, and I definitely want to help out with whatever I can. Yeah, even maybe if I could ship a rod, I would. I just don't know how much it's going to be.
Bro. Yeah, unless it was cheap, I'd take it. But we're not gonna go.
Yeah,
it's too expensive. What rods are you talking?
Phoenix. That's who our title sponsor is. Yeah, Phoenix rods.
But yeah, man, you can find me on there at Baitrlgn on Instagram and the website. And like I said, all the prices are in Australian, so it's actually cheaper for the American guys.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Sizing can be a little bit more tighter. So you always go that larger size than usual. So if you're a large, go on XL.
Okay.
For sure. And we're bringing up new stuff, man, end of the month. So
awesome. So this will be out in 2 days. So we'll pump it all up and hopefully it helps the sales. And thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it, brother.
Man, thank you, Nick. You've been awesome, man. You're a legend.
Thanks, man.